Oops, I better get this on there. Hey, everybody, this is Terry with Openly Concealed, and I am here with my good friend, Rian Livingston. So just a little pre-story. Ryan and my wife graduated from WEEEEEEISER High School, you know, in the big metropolis of WEEEEER, just on the other side of the big metropolis of Payette. And if you weren't from these parts, Payette and WEEEER were kind of a rival. And so my wife said she would never, ever date a Payette guy.
I believe that. And I don't have any Payette friends. I mean,
so one. And I'm not Payette anymore. I'm Nampa,
right.
So it doesn't count.
Yeah.
So Ryan and the guys from WEEEER kind of adopted me into the crew. So I feel very privileged to be, you know, considered among the WEEEERites, being a Payette guy. So anyway, being a pirate and then, you know, Wolverine territory. Anyway, so that's how I know Ryan. Ryan went to school with my wife, graduated from WEEEER, went on to U of I, which I think a lot of people from WEEEER ended up going to U of I. Didn't Cody and
Cody did not.
Cody did not. Okay.
Yes, he went to Rick's.
Rick's. Okay, so that's Utah,
right.
Correct?
But there
I don't know my colleges, so.
There were several. Did Jessica go to U of I?
So funny story. My wife has been to I think pretty much every major university in Idaho.
Okay.
U of I, BSU, ISU. Yeah, so she's got bachelor's, whatever. I'm terrible at this whole college game. Obviously, I'm not college educated, so. But anyway, so yeah, she's got several degrees from several different institutions.
But so she's been to University of Idaho.
I believe and it was remote. I don't think it was like on site. So I'm not sure that it counts, but that's okay. We won't hold it against her. I definitely married over my head. Married way smarter than me. So anyway, so Ryan went on to work for. So you studied in Syria and Chile while you were in U of I, or?
Yep, from U of I.
Okay.
Yep.
So they send you there? How does that work?
So I was with the program for it was the Council on U.S. Arab Relations. And, and they had a Syria program for the summer.
Yeah.
So I went for a summer program to Syria.
So what got you interested in that? I mean, what made you head down that road?
Yeah, so I always thought that I was interested in. It sounds funny. Even your wife called me on this once for my interview.
She calls me.
I was interested in terrorism. I wasn't interested in committing terrorism, but
you were interested.
I was always. As soon as I remember in the 80s, I had some books on. That's when terror started international terrorism with the Libya. Robbins hijacked some of the planes.
Okay.
And I thought, well, this really sucks. I want to be involved in that. I want to be. And I thought terrorism was the future.
Okay.
And that was pretty much focused on the Middle East at the time. So
all right.
So I started focusing on the Middle East, and then that's what I went.
So then you served in internships with the Department of State in Amman, Amman, Jordan, and Washington D.C. So you wrote in your bio, this is where you met your first agency friends. So like 3-letter agency types of friends.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So and it's kind of funny because my friend Leroy, who was here last week. He was with Boise PD for a lot of years, and I did not realize. I mean, you're friends with somebody for a long time, and obviously not everything comes up in the conversation.
Right.
And so there's things we've talked about, things we haven't talked about, and you start reading bios, and you're like, "Holy crap! I didn't know you did all that," And it's kind of cool to, kind of air it and let people listen to kind of where you've been, what you've done. But so anyway, then you said you tried for a CIA internship, but. And went there for an interview.
I did. They had a program where you had to be. I think you had to have 3 semesters left in university. Maybe it was 4, something like that.
Uh-huh.
And by the time I applied before, and it's not that I didn't get accepted, but I didn't hear back, and then I did it again, and got accepted to go out and interview.
Okay.
And it was a long process, long story, but in the end. That was the thing. I don't know why they couldn't figure that out before, but they're like, well, you really need to. I had like a semester left. So.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was a timing issue for college versus.
Which again, they should have known that before I got there. But anyway, it was
before you got to the interview,
right.
Like, okay, here's your college records.
It wasn't just the interview. It was a polygraph. It was a psych interview, and it was a interview with the HR and headquarters and the whole thing. And then by the end of it, they're like, oh, I see you only have a semester left. And I'm like, yeah, this is a good experience. I'm glad I came out here.
Yeah.
Got to tour the agency, but
Didn't work out.
Didn't
All right.
work out.
Oh, and just for you guys that are watching, so when I talk about Ryan and playing racquetball, well, this is my racquetball pal that squashes me every week pretty much, but it's about the game, right? I like to tell myself that just so I feel better about getting beat every week.
And you're almost 60, so that's fair.
Not quite. Come on. You're not almost 60 until you hit at least like late 50s. So I'm still I haven't even hit my mid 50s.
Oh,
dude.
you're
Come on.
all right,
Come on.
I take it back.
So that's the bad thing about marrying a girl that's 6 years younger than you. All of her friends are also 6 years younger than you.
True.
So,
True. I haven't met my wife's friends that are 17 years younger, so.
Oh, well, there you go.
We could have a real issue there.
Okay. And we'll talk about his life here in a little bit. But so after graduation, you tried applying for other 3-letter agencies, and the process was too long. I mean, I'm assuming it takes a long time to try to even get processed into one of those agencies.
It does. Knowing what I know now, I would have started earlier, but I graduated, I finished that internship at the State Department, and was back in WEEEEEEISER, and thought, when you finish college, I'll apply to the jobs I want to do. And, I think I was closest with the DEA, and it's about an 18-month process, and I had met some friends with the CIA at the time, and they said about 2 years, and I was like, there's no way I can sit in WEEEEER and work it.
Go back to WEEEEER.
There's no way. I had to do something else.
I left Payette, and I don't think I ever looked back. So that's kind of the small town life. You try to escape if you can, but so then you joined the Army because you got tired of waiting for one of those agencies, and as an airborne interrogator. So with Spanish language. So did you learn Spanish in college? Is that?
Well, I did, but that's not how it works. They don't care about that. So when you decide what you want to do in the Army, if you pay, you rank so high on the tests and as and all that garbage, and then when you select what you want to do, if you want a language, if you want to be a linguist, you have to take a separate test, which I don't even remember what it was called. It was the weirdest test I've ever taken.
Is that right?
They give you like a made up language, and I remember I just got bored. I got bored of taking it. Went on for like 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
So I just started filling stuff out. So I got the absolute minimum you could get on the test and still get something. So what it is, the better you do on the test, the more complicated language you can have.
Oh, gotcha.
And I wanted Arabic, and I think it was Spanish or nothing. I mean, Spanish is the lowest you could go. And that's what
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah, went to language school.
Well, I probably wouldn't even got that high. So, they'd be like, you don't even qualify for English.
I mean, you didn't even know English. It just made up. It was the weirdest test I've ever taken in my life.
So, I mean, that's kind of what linguistics is just trying to figure out what people are saying, or kind of what the language is. And then from that, trying to interpret it.
Yeah, I think they wanted an aptitude to, quickly correlate one thing to another.
Gotcha.
And,
Okay.
I mean, I probably could have paid more attention, but it was really
boring. All right. And so DLI, Language School for Spanish. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so that's, which is a real great thing in the Army. It's in Monterey, California.
Okay.
So it's a beautiful place. It's just a school. They have all the language. I don't know if they have all the languages there, but most language students in the military go there.
So I'm going to pop up the chat. So if anybody has any questions they want to ask, feel free to pop them up, and we'll try to fit them in here. So
so it was Defense Language Institute in Monterey. Beautiful place. I went $5,000 in debt there.
Oh wow!
Just from going to
so you're paying? Eating out?
Yeah, just for having fun.
Oh my gosh!
The Army will take care of you, but they're not going to pay for your 5-star meal.
I gotcha.
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So then went on to interrogator training at Fort Huachuca. Is that how you say it? Huachuca.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huachuca.
And where is that? What state is that in?
It's in Arizona.
Arizona. Okay.
Kind of on the border. Sierra Vista is the name of the town.
Okay. All right. So you served the 525th. What's MI?
Military Intelligence.
Military Intelligence Battalion, Fort Bragg. Did one tour in Macedonia and then went on to Special Forces. So, what did that process look like getting into Special Forces?
Yeah, so it's a little different than the traditional. This is why we don't talk about it, because I'll say, well, this is my experience, and I've always worked with the Special Forces community. But it's different than the traditional Special Forces route, because I went basically as a support, as an intel.
Gotcha.
So You don't go through the selection. They call it selection in the Q course. I've already had my training, so
Yeah.
we have to go through a evaluation as well. You have to go through SEER school. You have to take a special swim test, a navigation course, obstacle course. I mean, there's a lot of different trials you have to do.
Yeah.
You have to take advanced pistol mark.
So it's pretty rigid. I mean, it's not like it's this cakewalk of a.
Yeah, no, I mean, you have to score. I think you have to score 80 or 90% on your PT test. I mean, it's different.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not, it's not the same as going through selection or something, but
Yeah.
it's just different
Gotcha.
process to do.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because we've talked about this before. You know, you get these guys that are like, oh, I did this and that. And you're just like, you know, most of the guys, like, you know, guys that have any kind of training don't typically talk about it. I mean, they don't spend a lot of time tooting their horn and,
Yeah.
you know,
If they do, they're not very interesting to talk to.
well, I would say, you know, I always tell people, you know, we're the only ones that are going to advance ourselves by promoting ourselves sometimes, but there kind of ends up being a line between braggart and what do you call that? Just ego, you know, and we've talked about this too. I'm just not an ego guy, you know. I
Yeah, right up here. Get rid of the pride.
get rid of the problem. And my favorite quote: "Ego's not your amigo, man."
That's the truth.
I stole that from Matt Schneider from Forward Movement when I worked there. So
Yeah.
anyway, but yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things kind of a resounding thing that I teach throughout the class, man. You're never going to lose a fight you're not in because you don't let that ego get in the way and tell you, hey, I'm bigger, better, faster, and tougher. And there's always somebody out there bigger, better, faster, and tougher. I don't care how big, bad, fast, and tough you think you are. So,
Always.
all right. So then served in Special Military Intelligence Detachment. And so what is SOT-A?
SOT-A. So that's a Special Operations Team Alpha is what they call them. And they're basically that's we could talk about what it is, but that's signals intelligence. So they're forward deployed, usually with a special forces team, and then in front of them.
Okay.
So we'll go out with a team and set up, to intercept communications.
Gotcha. From an enemy.
Yeah, from anybody.
Okay. Good, bad, indifferent.
Yeah.
This doesn't really matter.
So
Okay.
It's some of the most, it's the most classified software and capabilities the military has, as far as intel wise. And it's probably really, especially as we've seen in the last 20 years with Afghanistan and Iraq. I mean, they don't talk about a lot because, a lot of the methods and it's classified. But
yeah.
It's the best way to find people.
Okay. All right.
What they're doing.
All right. So during that time, you were deployed to Colombia many times, Bolivia, Peru. So did you learn all those languages, or did you just kind of?
Well, so down there, it's all Spanish.
It's all Spanish.
Well,
okay.
unless you're there's indigenous languages, but sure, it's all Spanish in South America, and that's how special forces groups are organized. So, third group will be in charge of Asia, and they'll have linguists they'll have Vietnamese linguists, and Korean linguists, and Chinese linguists, and then 7th Special Forces Group is really just in charge of Central and South America. That's their
gotcha.
Each Special Forces Group has their AOR.
So is that what the number signifies? 7th, 5th, or?
Well, no, but I mean
that's
that will.
detachment.
I mean that each numbered Special Forces Group has an AOR.
Okay.
And it's, unless they're a reservist group, but all 3rd, 5th, 7th, 10th, they all have areas of responsibility in Eastern Europe. South America. So
okay.
7th group is South American, so we're just Spanish. Sure.
All right.
There might be some French linguists.
So and that's because you learned Spanish. I mean, you knew Spanish, and so that's where you end up.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So through some of that deployment, you trained Colombian soldiers as part of Plan Colombia. So what is Plan Colombia? Can you talk about that? Or?
Yeah,
okay.
sure. No, it was a U.S. government program started under Clinton. It was a several $billion package to support Colombia.
Oh wow!
Part of that was helicopters. Part of that was training they started 3 new battalions, which are counter narcotics battalions. Before they had counter guerrilla battalions and just regular army battalions. So we started a special counter narcotics force. Okay. Stationed out of Larandia, Colombia, and it consisted of 3 battalions. And so that was 7th Group's job, was to train these regular Colombian soldiers to be specialized in.
Oh, gotcha.
counters.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and supported by the helicopters. So.
Okay. Right on. So, and then work force protection for U.S. troops, as well as advising and assisting foreign and U.S. commanders. So that was all in Colombia.
Yep. Yeah, that was all in
Colombia.
Colombia.
Okay.
Yeah, that was in Colombia. So, when we're, that was part of my job was force protection for our own troops. At the time, it was very dangerous in Colombia.
Okay.
Especially in the bases, La Ronde, where we were
Yeah.
attacked regularly. So part of that is intel just for our troops and force protection just to to mitigate some of the threats down there.
So how much did you see a lot of action? I mean, you personally in your detachment?
Yeah. So at the time in my military days, we didn't see a lot of action. Like I think I might have said, we didn't do a lot of direct action at the time. It was all training for the
More
most part.
indirect.
We would go to with them on some operations, more of advising and assist. But this was all prior to, again, I forget how old we are now, but this is all prior to, or just as, we were kicking off in Afghanistan prior to 2011 or 2001.
Okay.
9/11. And so we were still training, and that was special forces around the world. That was our main job, was to train foreign militaries.
Okay.
So we didn't have a lot of direct action. There wasn't a lot of, we didn't see a lot of direct contact. We didn't have a lot of contact. It wasn't until I was a contractor that I started really seeing.
Gotcha. Okay. And we're going to talk about that here in a second. But so you trained other special units, counterterrorist measures, riot control, demining, intelligence gathering, hostage rescue, urban combat, advanced rifle, pistol marksmanship, close quarter combat, asymmetrical warfare. What is that?
Well, that's where the smaller force takes on a larger force. So
gotcha.
It's guerrilla warfare, really. So you